Oh, does it slowly? Well, we're on our way right now to board our flight to London to start our honeymoon.
So our journey begins as we get on the airplane to London. We are flying from Orlando to Gatwick in London, and this is our flight. It's fairly full. And here's our first meal that they gave us complimentary with our flight. We had a nice salad and some meatballs and cheese, and of course complimentary wine.
Now as we're leaving, you can see more of the layout of the plane, and it's really spacious. Biggest flight that we've flown so far, and the thing that amazed me the most is the first class seats. They literally have their own seat that you can lay down in and watch TV. It's crazy. Definitely an upgrade for next time.
So after we got our luggage and went through a long line at customs, we are boarding the Gatwick Express to Victoria Station.
We out here lost, trying to figure out how to get onto an Uber, y'all. So finally landed in London, dropped our luggage off at the hotel, and now we're walking the streets trying to find some place to eat.
Our first adventure, yay, as a married couple.
So the first place we went to was called DDK Cafe, and they had a lot of seating on the inside and the outside, but once you go down the stairs, there's a nice little patio, which is actually where we had our breakfast because it was too early for us. And as you can see, the coffee looks pretty dank because that's kind of what they specialize in. Coffee, teas, juices, even water. But the water you have to pay for, and it's pretty expensive, along with Coke.
So in the background you can see some herbs being grown, and actually if you see our dishes, they actually picked the herbs from that garden to put in our meal.
I ordered the eggs Benedict while Lyanna had the English breakfast, which everything was delicious and definitely blew our minds. After breakfast, we were finally allowed to check into our hotel, so that's what Lyanna is doing, as you'll see shortly. And here you will see the inside of our room, which is actually kind of small compared to hotels in the United States. What is really unique about European hotels though is that every time you enter the room, you have to put your key card into the slot in the room that activates the power for the rest of the room. So no lights or TV will turn on unless you have the card in there. And every time you leave the room, you take the card out, everything just kind of shuts off, which reduces the electricity, which is pretty awesome. And here you'll see the wonderful street view we had. I don't think we were allowed to open the door, but we did it anyways to get a nice view.
Here we are using the London Underground, which was the main method of transportation that we used while in London. And here they're pretty considerate, especially on the escalator. So you stand on the right when you want to ride down, and if you're in a rush, you'll go on the left-hand side and just pass by.
And thankfully we had this app called the City Mapper, which we used to get around the city. It gave us exactly which train station we needed to go to and which line we needed to be on, which was actually super helpful in getting around London and in Paris. As you can see, London streets are pretty crowded. Here is one of London's famous double-decker red buses, and at this point in time, we're currently making our way to go see Les Mis live at the Queen's Theatre.
So we made our way down to Chinatown, and we were just walking the streets, and we saw a lot of people advertising, a lot of people making fresh food in the windows. And eventually we got pretty thirsty, so we were able to locate a boba shop, thankfully, and its name is Chat Time, where we found out that in London they call boba bubbles, and they don't use artificial coloring, so it was definitely off.
And one of the best things in Europe is how all the pastries and baked goods are made fresh and on display for you at all times. We wanted to grab a bite before the show, so we decided to grab the closest thing that we saw that appealed to us, and that was, of course, a conveyor belt hot pot. Mis was wonderful, and it's definitely a show that you should catch live.
Late night pizza and spaghetti bolognese.
And that was the end of our first day. It was actually pretty tiring considering the fact that we're still up late eating pizza. We had just traveled 9 hours to get to London and still stayed up the whole day to go see Les Mis and travel around London.
Thanks for watching and stay tuned for day 2.